Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the International Euphonium Summit. I'm Nicholas Haffter von Heide, and this is the awesome Lynn Muelheisen. And if you haven't already been privy to the transcripts yet, I want to encourage you, we want to encourage you to, wow, an hour of, well, there's tons of words. I don't even know how many words it actually recorded of our pre-video recording interview, but the information, as with every interview that we have had contributed by amazing artists, composers, conductors, and now competitions and organizations that make an impact. Welcome to the chair of the Frances Walton Competition of the Ladies Music Club of Seattle, Lynn Muelheisen. Welcome.
Hello, Euphonium players. I am delighted to be here. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic interview. If you haven't gotten a chance to enter your email, it's just your email to get a very, 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 very large file of these interviews. I mean, it's just really gold, y'all, to be able to get that access. If you're a parent, if you're someone who has someone involved in music anywhere, regardless if you're a euphonium player, euphonium artist, or music member globally, you'll want to get those transcripts and hoping to have all those transcribed somehow, not through Google Translate, thankfully, sometime here in the future. So yeah, y'all get access. I mean, come on, free with an email. You get all that access. Anyway, that's the last, well, there'll maybe more plugs for that soon enough. But let's go ahead and get started with this live recording here of your organization and what y'all do. And so you have the floor, Miss Lynn Muelheisen, to share this Frances Walton Competition, the organization, the Ladies Music Club of Seattle, when you started it and where you're at now.
Okay. All right. Well, I love to talk about this organization. So our umbrella organization over all of our programs, which is inclusive of the Frances Walton Competition, is the Ladies Musical Club of Seattle. We have a quaint old-fashioned name because we were founded in 1891 by a group of women who were trying to get classical music started in this rough and tumble pioneer town in 1891. Seattle was kind of a crazy place then. And so they started their own concerts. They started their own with their own performing members. But they also did a concert series that ran from 1900 to 1995, brought in people like Rachmaninoff and Stravinsky and Marian Anderson and Fritz Kreisler, a whole Italian opera company they brought in with all the sets and the costumes and everything. It was crazy. But as the years went on, our organization started to really look at our mission statement, which is fostering classical music in our community through public concerts, awards, and education. And they really started, especially about in the 1980s, they started looking at our community. Where are the needs? There began to be cuts within music programs in public schools. So a program called Music in Schools was developed, which is still going on today. We go into Title I schools and provide music education through classical and world music. We have public concerts, which are all free of charge, except for the occasional lecture concert. That features our performing members. We have about 150 members total. Many of them are performers. We provide free concerts between 60 free concerts between October and May. We have a huge archives program. We've got a composers group. We've got an opera workshop group, and we have the Frances Walton Competition.
And that's what brings us here now.
Yes, the Frances Walton Competition. Frances Walton is a living legend in our area. She's 95 years old. She's a cellist, still playing, a conductor and a composer. She also formed many performing ensembles in this area, both for youth and adults. And she was in Norway at some point, I think maybe in the 1980s. And she bumped into a program in Norway where great classical musicians were brought out to rural areas. And Fran came back, and she loves Washington State, and in particular, Eastern Washington, which tends to be very rural, a lot of agricultural land. And Fran said, Ladies Musical Club of Seattle has this little scholarship program. At that time, it was really just University of Washington School of Music students. And she thought, let's make that what she called a debut tour. Let's take those young musicians. Let's take them all over Eastern Washington. She even had an early concert, which was for kids out in an apple orchard, and she got bitten by the outreach bug. And so she grew the program. They started, okay, let's audition kids all throughout Washington State. And then we added Oregon, and then we added California, and then we added Alaska and Idaho and Hawaii. And before we knew it, we'd grown this program quite a bit. Fran stepped down about 1997, and Gail Perstein took over the program. There were several different iterations, several different names, but we finally decided to honor Fran herself. So she is our namesake, the Frances Walton Competition. And it grew up to 2019. We were then auditioning the 19 Western states, so Texas, North and West, and auditioning ages 20 to 35. At this point, it became less about the emerging artist and more about that period of time for a lot of our winners, post-grad school, although you can be 20 years old and apply. And in fact, our two solo winners this year, both 20, but we auditioned 20 to 35. We now audition brass, woodwinds, strings, piano, voice, marimba, and recorder. We have two solo winners and one small, or what we're renaming, it used to be called the small ensemble division. It's now becoming the chamber music ensemble division. And we are now, this is a big announcement, we are going to quintets. So we accept duos, trios, quartets, and quintets now.
So
and
I'm gonna pause you right there, because a lot of this information is on the recording. So you want to get that transcript. And you'd mentioned something that I want to do a quick tangent, and why we have this amazing competition at the forefront of the International Euphonium Summit is that year when they started this outreach and this growth, 1997, they had a euphonium win the competition. They've had two euphonium winners, three euphonium participants at least, but Daniel Helseth and Jason Gilliam, Daniel in 1997 and Jason in 2002, to really give our instrument a name and a start with this symbiotic relationship in a sense.
Yes. So, and in fact, I remember quite clearly, I wasn't involved. I was in the club and I was doing other things, but I remember very clearly that euphonium winner in 2002, because I'm an old singer and I wasn't really familiar with the instrument, and I fell in love with it. I thought, this is a great, and he was adorable. I think he was a preacher's kid, and he just knew how to talk to people, and he was preaching the gospel of euphonium. And I believe he went on our Eastern Washington tour, and I just thought, how great is this? He's just planting the seed with all these kids, going into the schools who go home to mom and dad and say, Mom, Dad, I want to play euphonium. And mom and dad go, what? So yeah, mind blown. So yes, we absolutely accept euphonium. And in fact, we had a really big uptick in brass applications overall in 2022. So we shut down like everybody else did during the pandemic. And we took a 2-season period to just kind of completely retool the program and see what needed to be tweaked as far as our messaging. And what we realized is that previous to the pandemic, we had a category that was just winds. And we just put woodwinds and brass in the same category. So what we decided to do was split that, because what I noticed is that we really weren't having very many brass applicants. And so when we split it and made it very specific, so when you go to our site on getaccepted.com and you go to our landing page and you go over to the left and hit a little drop down menu that says
All those
start
links will be listed below to everyone that's watching.
Yeah. You will see that all you have to do is go to your instrument group requirements. You don't have to read through everybody else's. You just go to the brass and you'll find out all the information that you need. We will be launching applications on November 1st. So right now our landing page reflects last year's application process, but it's going to be very, very similar. So
let's cover the age requirements really quick.
Yes, so age 20 to 35.
Can you go into that right there?
Yeah. And so you need to be at least 20 years old on the day of our finals and no older than 35. So that means that your birth date has to fall between June 2nd of 1988 and June 1st of 2004. And in fact, when you set up your account on Get Accepted, you have to put your birth date in there. So if you do not qualify, you will not be able to complete the application.
But you can join as a member.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So membership in Ladies Musical Club of Seattle, you know, it's something that you want to be in the greater Puget Sound area. We do have people as far north as probably Bellingham, which is maybe 100 miles north, and all the way down in Olympia, which is maybe 75 miles south, and people out on the San Juan Islands that come in. But yes, you can go to lmcseattle.org.
Links below.
Link below, and go to our membership information and find out about that. And we accept both men and women into our membership. So yes, gentlemen, you too can be a lady. And we have a lot of men in our club now, which is great. It's just fantastic.
So let's cover that competition aspect. And I want to dive into what you let our those that are reading the transcripts get to understand the picture of and the scape of what is who's in the picture. We have Frances Walton.
Oh yeah, this is our 2023
yes.
winners. So you will see me in a bright orange jacket, and Fran, who's seated in a teal sweater, 95 years old, and just sharp as a tack. Oh my gosh, she's just sharp as a tack.
And then the one who's right behind her is
Sean McLean. He is the host of our local classical radio station's program called Northwest Focus Live. So the Classical King FM 98.1 is one of America's premier classical radio stations. It's a powerhouse in our region. It's very supportive of our programs. They love us because we provide them with really great performers. And they're also very, very supportive of local musicians and musical ensembles. They're awesome, awesome. So Sean is right there in the middle, and he is the host of, as I said, Northwest Focus Live. And playing on that radio show is part of the prize package for the Frances Walton Competition winners. And as we talked earlier, I can't understate the power of this part of the prize package, because when you play live, they will produce a very high-end video. They have, I think, at least 3 cameras, including a Steadicam. They produce a beautiful video, which they also allow you to retake anything that you weren't happy with in the live performance, and they'll splice it in. It's really super slick. And they upload that to their YouTube channel. King.org is their website, and you can find their YouTube channel. I think it's probably under Classical King FM.
All the links will be down below.
Yeah, yeah. And you will see some of these videos. Now, not only will you have complete free access to that video to use in any way you want, but King also submits them to National Public Radio's NPR live sessions.
Y'all hear that? NPR.
NPR. This goes not only national, it goes international. And one of our solo winners last year, Ji Chen Zhang, saxophonist, his beautiful video was picked up by NPR live sessions and proclaimed an artist to watch. So it's a super powerful part of our prize package. And
how would you all like to be an artist to watch? Really? Come on.
Come on.
Really?
It's awesome. It really is. And Sean is a super smart musician himself. He is unfailingly generous and really determined to give everybody every chance to feel as comfortable as possible with their performance. And sometimes this is really fun. This will happen this year. King FM loves our winners so much that sometimes they use these broadcasts as donor events. So one of our broadcasts this year in September will be a donor event, which is always kind of gives a little bit more buzz in the studio when you have a live audience. So it's really fun.
That's amazing. So yeah. I'm curious, does the competition allow and accept professionals who in that age bracket?
Absolutely.
Really?
You do not need to be in school. We have winners that are full-fledged professionals. For instance, the small ensemble or the chamber music ensemble that won in 2022, Tala Rouge Viola Duo, who are featured in the Chamber Music America magazine for summer, full-fledged professionals. They're out. They not only play in their duo, but they both have other ensembles that they play in. So we've had music professors win.
So you need to bring your A game, y'all.
Yeah.
So and that's an understatement. And it's not one to be taken lightly for this competition. If you haven't read, I'll show the hand a little bit for those that didn't get the transcripts just yet. Only 200 applicants, y'all. 200. And that's really competitive. And when you bring your A game, everyone else is going to bring their A game, or rather, game. And it's really intriguing that they have opened up this competition so much to where, I got wind of it, and from another euphonium artist, William Lum, his video review of the competition was so well done, and he spoke so highly. And I didn't realize a lot of these competitions exist for, I want to showcase these competitions for student, future and current euphonium artists who want to see or need to see a potential, their family members. Hey, there's some really nice, really exquisite opportunities for our instrument and just musicians in general. Wow. What a gem.
I will have to say, William Lum, he was a finalist. He was our youngest finalist in 2022. And he was such a generous competitor. One of the things we really try to make sure is that when people make it to the finals, our organization is run mostly by performers or retired performers. We know what it's like to compete. It's already hard enough. So we're going to try to do our best to make it as positive an experience as possible for you. And it really showed in the spirit of a competitor like William, because he was super generous with all of, his competitors. Because when you get to the finals, you're all auditioning against each other, all the different groups. You know, in 2022, when William was there, we had euphonium, French horn, clarinet, flute, cello, violin, viola, singer, marimba. It's kind of crazy, but it's also really exciting. And what we found with a lot of our finalists, they get to know each other. They jump into an Uber and run down to the Space Needle or all, you know, all of the touristy sites around here. We've had people who have gotten to know each other in the finals and re-auditioned as a chamber music ensemble together.
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun.
So
So that's what we want. We want to be the friendly competition that really supports our finalists.
So just FYI, if you need to get the transcripts, because we dive really deep into all this in like fine tooth and comb, is blind auditions all the way up to the finals round audition to determine the winner. That finals round is not a blind audition, but everything else before that is. So,
yeah. And we really want to emphasize, because this, and we're trying to change a little bit of our messaging to make it clear. We had a lot of confusion. People thought that they could submit videos. You cannot, because it is blind. And so audio only. I do know that there were some people that were able to, you know, take tracks off a video that they really liked and to be able to submit that. I want to really encourage your listeners, if you're going to apply, make sure you get just as high quality a recording as you possibly can. You know, don't let the dog bark in the background. We've kind of heard it all. And we're not gonna, you know, cut you down because of that, but you want to make sure that you're showing yourself at your very, very best.
One thing we didn't cover in the transcripts is, do you provide critiques back to the auditioners who didn't advance into the final round?
We don't. We did at one time. Unfortunately, we are getting so many applications that we can't quite manage that. Certainly, if people, you know, want to get some feedback, they can always contact me, and I can see if I can, you know, find a few things for them. And certainly sometimes there's really simple things like just not following the directions. Although we're even pretty liberal about that. We don't cut people immediately because they didn't follow the directions.
So is there a way to like upgrade maybe this is a really cool add-on into your competition, just thinking outside the box on this video right here, is there an opportunity for an artist or for those that are going to be competing this November to add on an element of like a certain fee to get that feedback for the semifinal round?
Yeah, I probably not. We want to be really careful about that, because there are competitions that have come under a lot of criticism because they have add-on fees. There's some competitions where you have to, if you're chosen as a finalist, you have to pay an additional fee.
Right.
And, you know, we're trying really hard to be up above board. And I don't mean to be criticizing any particular competition out there, but we're trying really hard to make sure that we're very clear. We are a nonprofit. We take every penny of the application, the portion of the application fee that we get goes right back into our program. We don't get the whole application fee because we have to get accepted for that service, because we actually do the whole adjudication of the first rounds through Get Accepted. It's really slick, nice program for us. But yeah, these are things that we're always trying on for size and seeing what we can do in the future if we do start being able to manage some comments back. I don't think we would add another fee on top of that. It would be reflected in the first fee, because a part of that too is just, you know, trying to manage multiple fees would also be very difficult. But right now we just made the choice because in 2022, when we launched after our 2-year pandemic hiatus, we got more than twice the number of applicants that we'd ever gotten before. And that was because we were much more targeted with our marketing. And I think because we streamlined the application process, so it was much easier, and we just went pew through the roof. Well, my committee, were like excited and wanted to kill me at the same time because we had, oh my God, what are we going to do? So it was really all hands on deck. And that's when we decided that the management of trying to, because we didn't want just straight comments to go to the applicant without some fine tuning, because we are not in the business to critique people in a harsh way. That's not what we're about. So we wanted to make sure that if we do that, it's really very carefully used so that people don't just have their spirits wiped out. So that's what we chose to do now. We'll see for the future if we can do that, because I know that that's a real value add for anybody, and certainly for the finalists, they get PDFs of, we usually have 5 judges. We like to have an uneven number, so we have a deal breaker, because man, I would not want to have to judge this thing, because once people get to the finals, they're all so good. And I'm so glad I don't judge, because I fall in love with everybody and I want everybody to win. But we give PDFs of all the judges' comments to each of the finalists. They get those, and so those are really a value add for them.
That's amazing. So let's dive into we weren't exquisitely clear perhaps in the transcripts, and I like to reiterate the repertoire for, especially with euphonium as a focus, the repertoire that is kind of required repertoire rather for euphonium specifically, or for any instrument, is stuff that is considered a staple for the instrument, correct?
Yes, but we also accept arrangements, especially for those instruments that don't necessarily have just a ton of repertoire. The pianists, I mean, come on, they have ridiculous, and the singers and the string players. And so some of our instruments don't have just a heap of repertoire. So we do allow arrangements. And I would think for euphonium, there would be like a ton of cello literature, so that's absolutely acceptable, as long as it follows the requirements, which are mostly historical era based. So, I mean, for instance, I've got it right in front of me here. So you have to record 4 tracks. There's no time limit to the tracks. So just be aware that the judges may not have enough time to hear the entirety of it. But the track 1 is from Baroque, classical, or Romantic periods. So that gives you a lot of wiggle room.
So that includes Ponchielli's.
Yes, there you go.
Ponchielli is the Concerto por Fil Corno Basso, transcribed by Dr. Henry Howie out of Sam Houston State University, good friend of ours.
Wonderful. And then track 2, contemporary piece by a living composer or composed no earlier than 1950.
Okay. Track
3, a piece of your choice. And track 4, unaccompanied piece. And these, and I will emphasize that these requirements were written in concert with University of Washington School of Music brass faculty.
That's amazing.
So, and then we have a few little things. I mean, of course, you can use piano accompaniment. We provide a Yamaha, well, this last 2 years, a Yamaha 9-foot CFX. So we have a concert grand.
But this is
for the finals.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's cover that. They do not provide a piano accompaniment. However, you need to have, if your solo is needing an accompaniment in the first couple rounds here, you need to provide that at your cost, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. And then in the finals round, you have to have your own accompaniment. However, they do have a really nice list of pianists who are willing to accompany you, and you have to work those fees out yourself. And these are all, it's all in the transcripts if you get the download, or the eventual book.
Mhm.
And however, that piano will be provided or reimbursed, not reimbursed.
Will
They'll,
be
they'll
paid.
yeah, go for it for
Yeah,
final.
so for
If you get into the
if you win, you will play a winner's concert the day after the auditions, and we will pay your accompanist for the winner's concert.
for the winners concert. So that's after the finals round and after every other round. So you're going to be out of pocket for that specifically.
Mhm.
And for right now, the travel expenses to get to the Seattle area for the competition. However, there is
I can tell you about, so if you get into the finals, you do have to come out on your own dime. However, there is a finalists award package. You will receive $250 at the end of the day of the finals. Also, we provide first come, first serve homestays with our members and friends of our program. And I have to emphasize, if you are chosen as a finalist, don't wait around. Get in on one of those homestays, because we did have a couple people who waited too long and we didn't have anybody else to put them up with, but they worked it out. You also get professional photography and videography of your audition. And if you win, also of the winner's concert. And these are really well done photography and videography by William Munoz, our wonderful social media guy who happens to have his doctorate in trumpet. And so he really understands the needs of the
it's really high
musicians.
quality.
Good, really
Very.
good, high quality. And everything that we do during the finals weekend is live streamed. So your mom and dad, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever will be able to watch it wherever they are in the world. And there's one other, and also one other thing that we do for our finalists that I think is really helpful. The day before the auditions, we have a rehearsal day in the audition space, which is a church here just right across the street from the University of Washington campus. It's beautiful. And so you will have the opportunity, again, you got to sign up fast. If you want to come in a day early, you'll have the opportunity to get used to the space and figure out what's going on acoustically. It's really a beautiful acoustic space. We also take down all of your setup needs. That helps us really run a super efficient audition day. And we have stage managers that set up and break down everything. And so if we get that information from our finalists the day before, it allows everything to really run on time super smoothly.
And
I wanted
then
to, yeah.
and then for those who win,
Mhm.
the prize
Yeah.
package.
Okay, the prize pack. And I do want to, before I go to the really
Okay.
good stuff, I would just want to make sure that I emphasize with your applicants that we do not allow electronic instruments or electronic enhancements.
Okay.
And we also do not allow prepared piano, because I mean, it's not that we have anything against John Cage. We think he's super groovy. We love extended techniques, but we have to be careful of this instrument because we rent it and we can't be sticking stuff down in between the strings and doing odd things.
No slapping the
But
strings either, y'all.
no slap. Well, we'll kind of sort of let the string slapping's not too bad, because that's not going to really damage anything. So yeah.
So
We figured.
I kind of want to you said extended techniques, and that's
Mhm.
a somewhat unfamiliar term, especially with our beginner artists
Okay.
who are looking at making this a career, or even the parent or a loved one. Extended techniques for euphonium would also be considered multiphonics, or
Mhm.
popping, or slapping of the instrument, stuff like that. That's not really considered part of the classical music repertoire. So keep in mind when the competition is specific on their requirements, to take in that as a massive initiative to be firm with that. not too wild. And if you need to ask about a certain piece or elements of a piece or performance, put a comment below or reach out to awards at lmc
Seattle. Mhm.
seattle.org.
Yeah, we're pretty liberal with extended techniques. We kind of love them.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, we really do. We have had lots of people use extended techniques. The flutists, we had a flute trio in the chamber music ensemble finalists this year, and they did a lot of extended techniques, and we love it. So we just can't do anything with the piano that's going to be invasive of the inside.
Gotcha.
You can do whatever you want with your own instrument. We've had stomping and slapping and whistling and singing through the flute, and I mean, we've kind of seen it all. So we're really liberal about that, because those are very exciting pieces to take in to outreach tours. We love it. So
And so let's go
yeah.
into that outreach in the
Okay, so here's
community.
the prize package. How's that?
Yeah,
Oh,
that actually
yeah.
goes with, yeah, go for it, Lynn.
So the prize package is, so we have a solo category, I mean, solo division, I should say, and a chamber music division. We choose 2 winners in the solo and 1 in the chamber music ensemble. Each of the 2 solo members will receive $3,500 at the end of their successful outreach tour, which I will talk about more. Each member of the winning chamber music ensemble will receive $3,500. So that means a duo, $7,000, a trio, $10,500, a quartet, $14,000, and now quintet, $17,500.
Could be euphonium quartet or euphonium trio, euphonium duo, euphonium marimba duo. Hey,
Low brass ensembles. Yes, 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 please. All of the above. And you'll come back to Seattle in September. We have outreach tours. We have 2 of them. One of them will be the 2 solo winners, and the other one will be the chamber music ensemble. One of those tours goes all the way in Eastern Washington. It's a very rural tour, goes all the way from Yakima up to the Canadian border. The other tour stays in the Puget Sound region. We do one run out to a little town called Raymond, but most of it is fairly urban. We go into schools K through 12. We try mostly to go to Title I schools that are underserved with music education. It's crazy fun. It's usually the first week of school. So it's a really great opportunity, not only to inspire any of the music students, but we do a lot of full school assemblies, and we talk about collaboration and discipline and all those good things that music can give us, critical thinking. And, you know, the kids lose their minds. I mean, they just love it. So it's really fun. We usually do usually 3 public concerts as well per tour. One of the public concerts on my tour in the Puget Sound region is going to be in this really cool Northwest focused art museum. That's going to be kind of our artsy fartsy performance. And then really great opportunity. You'll play live on Classical King FM 98.1 Northwest Focus Live, and you'll get that incredible video and an opportunity to be heard literally all over the world. And your listeners can, if they want to get a taste of it, they can go to king.org and live stream the program. It's always on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And actually, if you want to hear our winners, our 2 solo winners, Yvette Kraft, violinist,
from this year,
and Grace, that will be on, and Gracie Potter, trombone, will be on Northwest Focus Live on Friday, September 8th, 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay, so
You
we're
can
gonna
listen to that.
we're gonna provide those links below, because
Awesome.
it's going to be a much later date, and
Oh, it's going to be after you. This
Yes.
is going to air after.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
But
that's
you
fine
can,
because
yeah.
it's going to be recorded and be able to review, correct?
I'm not sure if they're uploading those videos. I mean, they will eventually upload the professional video, but that it sometimes can take a couple months. And then on the 15th, the winning chamber music ensemble, Kodak String Quartet, who is currently in residence at the Mannes School of Music, will be playing. And it's just I just can't underscore enough the importance of this. And it's a great prize package. And we're really all about that when at the end of the day, that outreach tour. We're wanting to change hearts and minds, of course, in the schools, but also the hearts and minds of our winning musicians. We want them to get the outreach bug. And a lot of our former winners have created their own outreach program. In fact, if I can get a shout out to two of our former winners, Dana Jackson, bassoonist, and Sophie Bear Daniel, harpist, they started a music festival up in the San Juan Islands, which is north of here. It's just absolutely beautiful area. And they put in an outreach component because out on the islands, even though there's some pretty wealthy people that live out there, there are service industry people who live there with their kids, and they don't get these kind of opportunities in the schools to hear these great musicians. So it's really so gratifying to see our former winners get out there and do a lot of outreach.
And let's cover that a little bit more. You had spoken in our transcripts before this, is that some former winners have actually come back as a chamber music ensemble.
Yeah. And I will also mention that you can actually, if you win as a soloist, you can reapply as a chamber music ensemble.
Wow.
And so one of our examples was two of our solo winners who went on a tour together. It was a soprano and a violist, I think, and their collaborative pianist. And we do pay the collaborative pianist for the tour, so you're not out any money there. They loved each other so much during the tour, they formed their own little chamber music group and re-auditioned. So it's an opportunity for you to get to know people too. And we just never know what's going to develop within all of these relationships.
That's really awesome, because that leads us right into that next question is, what three key attributes does your organization find common among those who are in the finals? And you're mentioning, especially in the transcriptions, about hopping into Ubers and stuff like that together and going out of town.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I just have a few notes here. I just want to make sure that so, number one, of course, is the superior musicianship. And by the time people get into the finals, they're usually top tier performers. But we also put a very high value now and encourage our finals judges to assess speaking ability, engagement with the audience, passion for their particular instrument. This is where a euphonium player has a real advantage because, not to diss our fabulous pianists, because we get ridiculously fabulous pianists, but everybody knows piano. When we have a euphonium player or one of the marimba category was not added until, just a couple of years before the pandemic hit. This is an opportunity for, within the context of your audition, to really talk about your instrument and to promote it and to advocate for it. So during the finals, you get 20 minutes And that's inclusive of any speaking you might do. So we now have, and this is not necessarily required, but we have had finalists who kind of have a little theme with their program. People who auditioned in 2022, because that was the first in-person event that our entire organization had since the pandemic. People talked about, this piece really meant something to me during the pandemic. This really got me through. I love my instrument because of this. That's something that if you can incorporate that into your great music making, that's a powerhouse audition. When our finals judges we do not require scores during the finals. You don't have to provide scores. And we do that for several reasons. And one of them is because we want the finals judges' experience to be really organic, not about the notes on the page. It's about how much heart are you putting into this? You know, you're going to give a great performance, or you probably wouldn't have gotten into the finals. So how can you take it to the next level? What can you show that makes the judges go, that's the person I want to see go into that little, kindergarten class in Chelan, Washington. That's what we're looking for. So you want to push yourself, and also really think about your programming. We are very, very accepting with new music. We don't make this a requirement, but it's always a great thing to see underrepresented composers of color and women and LGBTQ plus represented in your programming. Do it. Make sure it's great music, of course, and it's going to be something that you can play really well. But all of those things can really help push you past, just the general level of ridiculous excellence, which we tend to have in our finals.
Right, tune it up just a notch.
Yeah, just a notch. And I gave this example before we started recording of Ji Chen Zhang, saxophonist. He's now teaching. He's back in China, and he was one of the solo winners in 2022. And he played an extraordinary piece by a Japanese composer called Cyberbird Concerto. And it was written by a composer who was dealing with the death of his sister, whose last words were, "In my next life, I want to be a bird." So at the end of this piece, Ji Chen takes off his mouthpiece and he does a whole series of bird calls, which could be kind of cheesy. It was not. It was technically extraordinary, but he is also an incredibly emotive player. I mean, the emotion was just flowing out of him. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And he was really, really super good. It was just amazing. And then Tala Rouge Viola Duo, who won in 2022, they had such a great repertoire. I mean, some of it, they did a Beethoven piece, but they did a Mansourian arrangement. They had something by Caroline Shaw, who's, a new composer who won the Pulitzer a few years ago. I mean, it was really interesting stuff. So don't phone it in. Push yourself. And I loved, you referred to William Lum, who was our euphonium finalist in 2022. And he mentioned in this video that we used for
I'll put a link below to that.
Yeah. William is just an awesome guy. Although he decided to go to UNT instead of my alma mater, Jacob School of Music, for his master's, but I'll forgive him. But he mentioned that he felt that being in the finals pushed him to the next level, and that it really pushed him to up his game. And I think that's another thing that's a real win-win for our competition. If that really helps people, whether or not you win, and William didn't, but we hope he comes back and re-auditions, because we want to see how he develops, because he was awesome.
That's really awesome. And so covering for our beginner artists and their parents who are listening, watching, reading, perhaps, a lot of maybe even some high school parents and high school artists don't heard something just right there or read something. She said Pulitzer Prize composer. So for a lot of the industry, they may not know that Pulitzers can be awarded to composers and musicians, which is amazing. So just, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and hopefully I'll cover a significant amount with all these amazing interviews on this International Euphonium Summit this year. If not, the years following and what's going to be happening. I can't wait for y'all to like get that bug for outreach, get that bug to share, like, follow, subscribe to not only the Euphonium Summit channel, but to the Frances Walton Competition and the Ladies Musical Club of Seattle's channel, and all those that are participating. We really want to equip future and current euphonium artists, musicians alike, really with a roadmap for a successful dream life. And their mission, oh boy, howdy, y'all. I hope you see the passion in her eyes as well as mine, and everyone who is involved with this amazing event. As it's just really inspiring to me. If it is inspiring to you, please make a difference, make an impact. And I did want to give a shout out to your organization, not only accepting male counterparts, but you're opening up the opportunity to join the ranks if you want to, or and I do we do cover this in the transcripts. Transcripts is, if you are passionate, share that same passion as us and making a difference and an impact, and you perhaps you don't even have a student artist, or you may know of one or want to honor someone and don't know where to start, maybe with an endowment or whatever. Hit this organization up. They're one of several organizations, but that's the whole ideal of this summit, is to showcase each and every organization, each and every professor, artist, each and every studio, each and every composer, to showcase their passion. You see, feel that intentional purpose to make that impact. I hope you, I certainly from the bottom of my heart, hope you understand and feel that. And if you feel a connection with Lynn and with the Ladies Musical Club of Seattle from this from this cast, whether it's written, whether it's video, whether it's podcast, or covered somewhere in some form, and you want to make a difference, here's how. Wow.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. And I just want to piggyback on something you were talking about with new music, and really encourage your listeners, your euphonium players. You know, if you feel like there's not enough repertoire out there for your instrument, get to know composers. I happen to be married to one, so
we have interviewed so many so far, and with much to come. But yes, exactly, your hubby.
Start working on finding a way to partner with a composer who listens to you, who is willing to be educated about how your instrument works so that they can write the best way possible.
Especially for your experience yourself, for our euphonium artists, and overall, is get a composer to listen to your technique, your ability. And even, and I'm sure your hubby prescribes to this ideation and intention, is maybe get a composer to write a one notch up to challenge you into learning something.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things, again, I talk about Tala Rouge Viola Duo, just because they, you know, you can go to their website. I think it's just talarouge.com.
We'll put it below.
Yeah. They have their own commissioning program. because there isn't a lot of viola duo repertoire out there. And so they're pushing, I mean, what an amazing thing. I mean, it's such the long haul look at, you know, they're doing things that are helping their career right now, but they're also planting the seeds which will encourage that particular ensemble to be able to grow and develop well past when they're on this earth. If they leave behind a lot of repertoire, that is so exciting. I have to just give a shout out to, you know, one of my favorite people on earth, Dale Warland, who had the Dale Warland Singers in the Twin Cities. He's a perfect example of this. I think, and he was very committed to new choral works. And I think within his tenure, how many years it was, he commissioned like 250 pieces. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we need so desperately, because, you know, the great works of the old dead white guys, they're great. I'm all for them. I love all of them. But we need to keep pushing our art forward.
Yes.
Classical music tent is much larger and much more diverse than it's ever been before. I love it when we have pieces that incorporate jazz, that incorporate world music, that incorporate Cajun music, Middle Eastern music, whatever. You know, it can be in that classical music tent, and it will just broaden our audiences. That's what we want. We, you know, because that's also part of what we do. It's not just about producing great musicians and everything. When we go into the schools, we know that most of those kids are not going to go into music, but we're also building audiences.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those kids. I grew up in a little teeny town in Northern California that was kind of an arts desert. But somehow my mom managed to take me to a concert or two here, and it flipped a switch in my head. I was raised with country Western music, but I wanted to listen to this music. There's always those kids out in the assembly. You see little, you know, light bulbs go on over their head. Maybe those will be the people that will then, you know, be the audiences in the future.
So I didn't cover your bio, actually. We went straight into
that's okay.
So
not about me.
Just letting y'all know as an audience is her background is she's a retired singer who completed her Bachelor of Music degree at Cal State Chico and a Master of Voice degree at Jacob School of Music. I know she brought up that program of Jacob School of Music up in Indiana, and because of William Lund choosing North Texas, but I really wanted to. I'm like, wait a minute, we didn't even go over your bio.
Well, there's not a whole lot to it. You know, I had a very, very small career as a singer,
but still, as a person who is pure advocate of the arts, it's truly fantastic. And you brought it up just moments ago, that light bulb moment that I cover with all the artists is when you first believe that and you accepted and you transformed your mind into, yes, I want to become an artist. Yes, I want to impact the arts. Yes. And
I'll tell you, it wasn't a voice concert that really flipped the switch for me as a child.
What was it?
It was the Romero Brothers guitar ensemble.
Wow.
I don't know, somehow they ended up in my little town. And I wasn't interested in playing guitar. It was the music. It was the type of music. It was the communication between. That's why I love chamber music so much, because the communication is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And that's the thing that I really remember in my head as a child. Oh my God, that's the kind of music I want to do. I mean, as much as I sang opera, it was really art song and chamber music that was really at my heart. That's what I really loved, but I couldn't get hired to do it, so I had to sing opera. And I love opera too. But that was what really did it for me. And I have to say that, you know, fast forward many years later, I get involved with this group, and it's like, this is what I've been wanting to do all along. you know, I loved performing and everything, but this is really where my heart is. And this is what gives me, you know, the
Skills.
yayas.
Yeah,
Oh my God. I just love it.
absolutely.
Just love it. So it's so interesting as you think back over your life, what was it that flipped that switch? And it was really the guitar, you know, the Romero Brothers guitar ensemble.
And that's the exact
Yeah.
bridging point I hope to uncover with every single artist, composer,
Ah,
everyone that is involved. I want the beginner artist to see that bridge connection and realize, you know, it may not come for your 6th grade year, your 7th grade year, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, even into your college years, like with Dr. Adam Fry, into his sophomore year in college, even, or after you graduate college. Now,
mhm.
I want to touch point with your competition and accepting former winners in other divisions. Now, you mentioned Tala Rouge as a
Mhm.
duo, and I was thinking, since they have a commissioning, for those that are watching this, that's why you're talking like this, because I had a brainstorm moment, is what if one of our euphonium artists watching this, or a parent, hint, wink, maybe you watching, let me know if you do take this as a mantle, like put this on yourself to do, is commission them for a euphonium and viola trio.
Why not?
Why
That
not?
would be awesome.
Now the question is, would
Yeah.
they be able to reapply for the company?
No. Yeah. So the deal is, I know, dang it, but it would still be a great piece. So the deal is, as far as reapplying for the chamber music division,
But so it's
you
only one
can,
chamber win.
yeah, you can reapply if you've won in the chamber music division, but you can only have one member of the original ensemble. So it's Lauren Spalding and Aria Charagosha are those two violists. And so if one of them like reapplied in a string quartet or something else with 2 euphoniums or whatever, they could do that. And they can also apply for the solo division as soloists. But we have to be careful, because otherwise we could have like basically the same people
Okay, so
over and over.
maybe what if you're, and this is just like wild here, is
Mhm.
what if it's a commissioning of a euphonium solo piece accompanied by a viola duo?
Well, I mean, that would have to be an ensemble. So our solo division, yeah, you're trying to game the system, mister. So the solo division is strictly a solo instrument
With
with piano
piano.
accompaniment.
So the
And
piano
so
can't play the piano?
well, in
No,
uh,
even
uh, we
the
will accept
violas.
piano duos in that, not a piano duet, but a 4 hands can do the chamber music ensemble, just because we're not going to have 2 pianos on
Right,
the
on the
tour. So
tour.
and we did have, and we kind of tweaked our system a little bit to prevent this. But the first year that we relaunched, we had actually 2 people that attempted to call themselves a chamber music ensemble when it was a solo with piano. And we said, nope, that's the solo division. So we really try to make it, and we understand that there's a lot of repertoire out there that's equal the
Mhm.
piano and the solo instrument. We know that, but for clarity's sake, we really kind of keep those in 2 divisions. And I wanted to piggyback on something you said about, you know, don't despair. You don't know when the thing is going to really click for you.
Mm.
Lauren Spalding is a perfect example of that. I think she was playing viola, but she wasn't really serious about it. And she started her education, something super smarty pants science. I can't remember what it was now, but she didn't really get serious about playing solo viola and then playing in chamber ensembles until she was, I want to say she was, you know, getting towards her mid-20s. And you know, that's really unusual for string instruments, because these string players start when they're like, you know, 2 years old with a teeny
Right.
tiny violin. So she's a perfect example of somebody that just she made this commitment. She just decided, I'm going to start practicing X amount of hours per day and just see what happens.
So let's take that one further. I'm going to ante that and increase that ante up for those that are parents or for those who are maybe prescribed to the non-traditional student artist level, hobbyist. This competition, you heard Lauren's story just now, and for those that are enthusiasts or hobbyists and don't know if you should take the time or invest in that time, look what happened to Tala Rouge. Look what happened.
And another example, this was a few years ago, but I remember we had a pianist win. It's been a while ago, and of course things are, pretty competitive now, but he was actually a pharmacy student.
Wow.
He was getting his degree in pharmacy, but he also happened to be a pianist. And actually, we had a small ensemble win from Berkeley. Oh, they were super smarty pants. None of them were music majors. One was an architect and one was like, I don't know, a rocket scientist or something. And they just did this on the side and they won. They were called the Golden Bear Trio. I remember that because they came from UC Berkeley, and Berkeley's mascot is Golden Bear. So, things can happen, it's just whether or not you're serious about, giving it your best.
Absolutely. And that's a great, oh man, what a spectacular interview with Frances
really
Walton Competition Chair Lynn Muelheisen. And yes, I've had to work on that pronunciation. If you look at the transcripts, you'll get to see that. And I really want to have her leave us with a final principle that's made a tremendous impact that you've learned over the years, maybe with Frances Walton herself, that has become a standard practice.
Oh, I think, oh gosh, there are probably about 5,000 of those sort of things. But we, at the heart of this, what we really want is to inspire everybody involved, whether they're in the audience, whether they're a musician performing. And I spoke to it before. We want to change hearts and minds. And that has happened. That has happened in that we have had former winners start their own outreach tours. We have had former winners really kind of alter their idea of what classical music can be. They've also done that for us. Tala Rouge certainly did. They kind of opened a door to more of a world music sound within the context of classical music. And so that allows us to continue to morph this program and to be the program that's flexible, not to diss any other group that's out there, but we don't require standard repertoire. We really try to, as much as possible, give some leeway to expand the musical worlds of our finalists, of all of our applicants, of our winners, and of the kids that get to hear this great music, and the public at large that go to the concerts. So that keeps kind of pushing forward in this program. And I think we're going to continue with that sort of focus. We're not trying to be the fanciest or the biggest or whatever. We want to be the most supportive and the most inspiring.
Wow, what a wonderful gift.
That's a tall order, but we're going to just kind of keep working towards it. And that's really at the heart of our umbrella organization, the Ladies Musical Club of Seattle, because we keep trying to find where are the pockets of need, instead of trying to be like everybody else. We're going to try to find those needs and address them as much as we can.
Fantastic. What a spectacular interview on the International Euphonium Summit. Thank you to our guest for contributing such an amazing opportunity for our community, for euphoniums alike, for for musicians all across the United States, U.S. territories, currently that
District
live in
of Columbia.
right, the District of Columbia, currently speaking. So maybe it'll be a global competition within the next couple years. We don't know.
I don't know.
But
I
we
mean, for
can,
all intents and purposes, I will say that it is international because you don't have to be an American citizen. You just need to live in the US.
well, there you go, folks.
Yeah.
If you, what more? What more? If you have a question, leave it in the comments below. Someone from the LMC Ladies Musical Club will reach out, or one of us, or a professional that is qualified to handle that particular element will get back to you, or reach out through the links, various links and blog posts and whatever happens to be created within this interview and from this. Thank you so much for stopping by, checking this interview out. Be sure to check out that transcript. It's gold like every other transcript. Holy smokes, y'all. Come on. I might just have a volume series now with each interview. But yeah, thank you so much, Lynn Muelheisen.
Thank you. This was a joy. Absolute joy.
Thank you all for coming by. Until next time, see you soon. Bye, folks.
Bye.